But without further ado, Brandon, here is your new system. So go ahead and take a look down there.
Oh my God.
All right, today is super exciting because we get to do episode 2 of this wonderful new series, which is Pimp My Rig, where we take a subscriber's gaming PC. It doesn't have to be a gaming PC, I guess. It could be any PC. We accept all PCs here. We don't judge. And we basically pimp it the heck out. Usually it's sort of an aged or old or dilapidated system.
Hello?
Hey Josh, I left my Define S and R6 in the same room together last night, and now there's a third case. Like, what's going on?
Oh, right. They must have had a baby. Let me guess. It's got a PSU shroud, flexible liquid cooling, and USB-C?
Yeah, actually. Wait, hold on. How do 2 computer cases, make a baby?
Look, I don't have time to explain this to you. You need to know how humans do it first. I gotta go.
Okay. Okay, I gotta ask you guys. Do you touch dust filters or something? Is lube even non-conductive? Is there thermal paste involved? And if so, where does it go? No? Staying silent, okay. Good talk.
Just wrap it up next time. I'm running out of space.
The Define S2 from Fractal Design features front panel USB-C, ample water cooling support, and a clean interior layout for your next custom build. Click the link below to learn more. Today we actually have a gaming rig from Brandon. He's a 19-year-old student from Huntington Beach, California, and this is the gaming PC he built a couple years back with his dad. And it's actually in pretty good condition, all things considered, but the hardware is definitely getting a little old here. Inside we've got a Core i5-4570 processor at 3.2 gigahertz that is of the Haswell family from Intel, and that's paired with an MSI B85G43 gaming motherboard, so definitely no overclocking happening here, but that's okay because we don't have a great cooler on here anyway. We've got a Hyper T4 from Cooler Master, which also looks a little bit dated to say the least. Kind of hanging on by a thread here with 8 gigs of DDR3 Vexor LED memory at 2133 megahertz, and our graphics card is the Sapphire R9 270X Toxic Edition, which is definitely starting to show some wear and tear, especially on the metallic parts at the end of the backplate. It's looking a little bit rusted there, so we might have to do something about that as well. Our power supply is a CX600 from Corsair. It's actually a fairly decent budget unit, although it's got those nasty ketchup and mustard cables that we just can't allow on this series. We've got 2 mechanical hard drives in here, so plenty of capacity, but there's no SSD in this build, so Brandon's been booting off of spinning Rust for the last few years, so I'm guessing he probably just hits the power button, goes to class for the next 8 hours, and when he comes back, his system's finally booted into the desktop. So we're gonna have to fix that as well. All of his hardware is nicely enclosed, however, inside of the Master Box Lite 5 from Cooler Master. It's actually a fairly decent case for being a budget-oriented option. It's got some modern features like a power supply shroud, RGB fans at the front, of course, and tempered glass side panels. So that's looking all right. As far as the actual build itself goes, I mean, it's completely color mismatched. Obviously, I won't fault them for the RGB fans because they're supposed to change colors, but everything else is kind of clashing, right? We've got sort of an orangish yellow graphics card, red accents on the heat sinks for our motherboard, blue LEDs on the RAM. It's just kind of a mess overall, and I think we should probably go with a singular color theme with the help of some RGB lighting along the way. Cable management isn't the worst I've seen, but it could definitely use some improvement. We've got this Molex cable that's just kind of hanging out here of the power supply shroud. I'm guessing maybe that happened during transit when he brought the system over to me. And then we've also got just sort of loose cables here that really aren't utilizing many of the cutouts that the case offers, even though it's maybe not the best chassis for cable management. He did do a fairly good job on the backside. For what he was given, it's actually not too bad back there. He utilized some zip ties and tie down points and things like that. Before we start gutting things left and right though, Brandon is a die-hard gamer. He's currently playing a lot of PUBG with his buddies, and he's averaging about 45 FPS in that game right now at the lowest possible settings at 1080p, while all of his other friends are pretty much soaring past the 100 hertz, 100 FPS mark. So definitely an unfair advantage for Brandon in the hardware department, which hopefully we can change later on. He also plays Doom, Battlefield 4, and a bunch of other titles that his system may be currently struggling with a bit more than it was when he initially built the system back in the day. So we're gonna try to give Brandon the competitive edge he deserves. I think we're gonna start doing that by gutting most of the system. There there are a couple things I want to keep here, because not everything needs to go. I think the case is still great. It's got a lot of updated features, so that's not going anywhere. Obviously, we have to keep his drives. That would be bad. The power supply, even though it's a CX unit, it's still got 600 watts. It is 80 plus certified, and I think it's going to be fine for the hardware that we're putting in here. We've also got a pretty decent motherboard and platform. B85, obviously there's no overclocking to be had there, but I think we can still yield quite a bit of gaming performance with a Haswell CPU, although I think we definitely need to upgrade that Core i5, so we'll look into that in a bit. But those are pretty much the parts that I want to keep. Everything else we will be swapping out in some capacity, so let's just get right into it. I say we start getting our hands dirty now because we have a lot of work to do. Alright, so we just finished tearing down Brandon's PC, and we've only left the motherboard, power supply, and drives installed. And I gave it a quick dusting as well. There was quite a bit of buildup in there. I'll probably clean it a lot more as we continue on with the rest of the build. But for now, we are ready for our first wave of new parts. Starting with the CPU, I wanted to upgrade that Core i5 4570 just a little bit. So here we have an i7 4770. Obviously a non-K SKU because we can't overclock anyway on that B85 chipset, but this will at least bump up his bass and boost clock frequency a few hundred megahertz while also giving him hyper-threading. So maybe he could even do some light streaming because this chip is definitely capable of that. I'm also replacing his 8 gigs of Vexor memory with this brand new 16 gigabyte kit of HyperX Savage DDR3 at 2133 megahertz. Look at those red heat spreaders. They're gonna match perfectly with the red accents on his motherboard, unlike the blue LEDs that we saw on those Vexor modules. And the last new part we're throwing in, at least for right now, is the Master Liquid ML360R RGB from Cooler Master. This is a 360mm liquid AIO, which admittedly is total overkill for a 4770 that can't be overclocked. However, it looks really nice, okay? That's a reason. On Pimp My Rig, that is a valid reason. The second reason is for future-proofing purposes. So if, let's say, 2-3 years down the line, Brandon eventually decides he wants to upgrade his whole platform and maybe drop in a really high-powered, super fast, and overclockable CPU, he's already got a really decent CPU cooler that can handle that TDP load. So I think it's going to be a good option for him in the long run. And also, you might have noticed that I did remove the 3 RGB fans at the front of the case here, as well as the fan in the back. That's because this cooler already includes 3 RGB fans, which are obviously going to get mounted at the front of the case. And then I think I'll use one of those old fans as a rear exhaust, so we get all matchy-matchy from the front to the back. I think it's going to look really nice once it's all done. So on that note, let's go ahead and get this stuff installed so we can move on to the next step. Hold on. Your name must be Houston, because we have a problem. So on the Cooler Master website, it specifically lists 360mm radiator support at the front of this case. But one small detail it doesn't mention is that in order for the radiator to fit there, you first have to mount the fans to the inside of the case and then mount the radiator after that. Because if you don't, and you just mount the radiator flush against the frame, it actually interferes with the front panel cables at the top of the case, and you're unable to slide the radiator in such a way where its mounting holes will line up with the mounting slots at the front of the chassis. So I mean, we could technically mount it in there, we just have to mount the fans inside the case, but I think that's a terrible idea because the front panel is see-through, and you'd be looking at some pretty RGB fans through the nastiness that is this front mounting area of the case, and it's just gonna look terrible. So what do? Well, we obviously can't use this product anymore. I guess we'll just have to settle for the exact same thing, but in 240 radiator form. Thank God I have copious amounts of hardware at my disposal. So we wasted enough time with this little mishap. Let's hope nothing else pops up and carry on. Moving right along here, we've got 3 more items that we're putting into Brandon's PC, starting with a damn SSD. It's about time he gets some faster boot times. Here's a Savage HyperX 240 gig. It's an oldie, but a goodie. And it's red, so it matches with the system. We'll also be adding some sleeved cables from AsiaHorse. I believe it's a Chinese brand, not too big of a name here in the US. I did feature this set of cables in a recent video about cables. You can check that out if you wanted to. These are black and red, also going with the theme, and they're made of the PET, sort of plasticky sleeving, very malleable, very easy to shape. They retain their shape very well, especially with these cable combs here. So, got a whole set for his system. And then finally, LED strip. Courtesy of Cable Mod. This is the wide beam LED strip, and it's RGB, so you can do it red, probably just red, or white. Nothing else would really match. Let's get to work. All right, guys, we are dangerously close to finishing this build. We have one more part to install, which is, of course, the graphics card. Now, we could use Brandon's existing R9 270X, but that would be a terrible idea. So instead, why don't we pop in this MSI GeForce GTX 1070 Ti Gaming and make this system like a bajillion times faster. Also, it's red, so, you know, you gotta go with red. Man, look at this build. I did that. It looks so good. I am so good at this. No, more importantly, let's hope that Brandon absolutely loves it. I think he will, and fortunately, we'll actually get to see his reaction in just a bit. That should be really exciting. I honestly couldn't be happier with how this turned out, and I'm really stoked for Brandon to see it for the first time and to show it off to his friends and for him to see their reactions. I think it's really gonna elevate his whole lifestyle as a gamer overall, especially in the frame rate department. Gaming performance is definitely gonna see some serious uplift with the various upgrades that we made here. So overall, really happy for you, Brandon, future Brandon, when I finally see you. And speaking of which, I think it's about time that we deliver this bad boy to its rightful owner. I'm gonna miss you, little guy.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming down.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
We've got your system here. By the way, how was it not having your system for about a week or so? Did you survive?
God. I had a laptop, but
Oof.
It's not like the greatest laptop in the world.
Yeah. Even the greatest laptops in the world aren't that
It was
great
like
sometimes.
$400 from Walmart.
Ooh. Oh, well, I'm sorry to have to put you through that, man.
It's probably.
But I promise the wait was definitely worth it. But without further ado, Brandon, here is your new system. So go ahead and take a look down there.
Oh my God.
You know, we used the same case. I
Yeah.
wanted to sort of preserve that original look because I think it's a solid case for what it is.
Yeah, it's a good case. It's a really good case.
I really wanted to keep your core platform, and because I did, you obviously can't really do much with the red heatsink, so we just decided to roll with the red theme. How do you like it? What are your initial thoughts? And feel free to tell me you hate it. I'll completely.
No,
I'll just
it looks
I'll throw it
amazing.
off the table right now and I'll just destroy it.
No, I don't know if you know who Dr. Disrespect is.
I do. Very
With
familiar.
the black and red.
Yep.
I love that.
All right. Cool. I didn't even make that
It just
association.
looks really nice and clean. And since I didn't have an SSD, I love seeing an SSD there.
Yep. It's already got Windows 10 loaded up onto it. We actually swapped out your CPU for a 4770.
Oh wow.
So you got a Core i7 now. You've got hyper-threading. Of course, we upgraded your graphics card to a to a GTX 1070 Ti from MSI. Yeah, it's an MSI gaming card. But yeah, I think you're gonna be happy with it. So enjoy it.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Treat it well. Love it kindly.
Yeah, I'm gonna be gaming on that thing 24/7.
Nice. Now you'll have zero excuse to your friends as to why you're dying left or right.
Yeah.
If you happen to be losing, I guess that's probably a good problem to have. Brandon, thanks for the opportunity, man.
Yeah.
Let me
Thank
revamp
you
your
so
system. Enjoy it, dude.
Thank you so much.
Yep. All right, guys, there you have it. That was a quick little reaction. Sorry I didn't get any B-roll of Brandon's system here at the park. I completely slipped my mind. I think I was just too excited about the whole thing. But at the end of the day, I think Brandon really liked his new rig, and that's really what matters here. So, yay, this has been Pimp My Rig, episode 2. Guys, let me know what you think about this series down in the comments. Toss me some love with a like, and get subscribed for more tech stuff coming at you really soon. Also, shout out to Wifey Sauce for filming the whole thing. She did a great job, and moral support and all that. So, have a good one, guys. I'll see y'all in the next one.